Righty, so welcome back everyone and thanks for joining us. Our collector for this week is a name or possibly initials that you have seen before during our project. Tennessee has a number of specimens that look like this, largely from Scotland, Ireland, England, collected by ACC, which in this case is not much of a mystery because most of them have at the top this X-herb, so from the herbarium of A.C. Crundwell. This one was collected in 1960 in East Lothian, which I looked up and is in kind of the southeast region of Scotland. So kind of along the coast east of Edinburgh. And this is a specimen here. So I thought it would be kind of cool to see. So this is actually a picture of that species out in the wild. You can see alive, a little greener, but still has that similar kind of shape, which is neat to see. And we'll just talk a little bit about its collector today. So ACC was Alan Cyril Crundwell. He was a British bryologist born in 1923 in Farnham, Surrey, which is in the southeast of England, to Ernest and Enid Crundwell. So he was the oldest child of 4, and his middle children, or his middle siblings, Mary and Owen, became solicitors. Their father was a solicitor, which is a kind of lawyer in the UK. And then his youngest sister, Jane, became a geologist, so a couple of scientists in the family. And it was said in early life, Alan was keen on natural history, read extensively, cycled a good deal around the countryside, was quite interested in birds and played a little golf, but was more enamored of tennis and chess. So varied interests, but already including nature and biology a little bit. He attended a local preparatory school and then got a scholarship to a boarding school in Berkhamsted. And in 1941, he enrolled in Magdalen College at Oxford and studying botany. So, and whilst there, he took part in numerous bicycle excursions into the Oxford countryside with friends and got to know the wild plants more intimately. And his earliest specimens date from this time, so 1942, when he would have been 19 years old. He graduated with upper second-class honors in botany and started studying Anemone nemorosa, or wood anemone, which is actually a perennial flowering plant native to Europe, but he was pulled away to work as a botanist for the Ministry of Agriculture during World War II. So, and he worked on several projects, including experimenting with grassland cultivation, sunflower seed production, and the control of the Colorado beetle. So this is an interesting little wormhole I went down, rabbit hole I went down. So this little beetle here is native to the Rocky Mountains, so Colorado area, but it became a major crop pest of potatoes starting in the early or in the 1850s. So it spread throughout the United States, it spread into Europe. Several European countries banned importing American potatoes, but it didn't matter, it kept spreading. It first was found in the UK in 1877, and they successively eradicated it. They said at least 163 times from the UK, but it kept coming back. And it's still actually an active pest that causes losses to potatoes, to tomatoes, and eggplant. So obviously it was of concern to protect the food supplies during the war. Interestingly, there was apparently some propaganda in Germany at the time saying that the US actually sent these beetles on purpose. And so there's some really interesting posters, and also too later during the Cold War, the USSR kind of said the same thing. But there's some interesting videos that I found from the 40s that show how seriously it was taken at the time. So I'll show you one. It's pretty short. I'm going to see if I can play it. And then there's another one too that is, I think, even more interesting, but I'll show that to you guys later if we have time. But anyways, I'll play this. Let me know if you can't hear the sound. I think hopefully it should work.
Wind-borne from the continent, Colorado beetles threaten the nation's food. 30 of the black and yellow striped potato killers are found in 1/3 of an acre in Buckinghamshire. In the Vale of Aylesbury, the Farmers' CID, teams of agricultural experts possessing the latest knowledge on how to combat the invader, are hunting out the beetle. Their method is to spray more than 20,000 acres with chemicals. Lead arsenate is used to destroy the beetle. DDT sprayers are also being called into the battle. Operation Colorado is on. At stake are Britain's 1.5 million acres of potatoes. Exceptionally mild spring weather assisted the Colorado invasion, and there may be another battle in July. If the gentleman pays you a call, just hand him to a policeman.
So kind of interesting, lead and DDT, obviously, no PPE, times have changed. But anyway, so he worked on some interesting projects before diving into mosses. So he said he developed an interest in bryophytes because he could find no one to answer the questions he asked about them. He joined the British Bryological Society in 1945 and began to collect mosses with E.W. Jones. In 1949, he moved to Scotland and worked as an assistant lecturer and eventually a senior lecturer in botany at the University of Glasgow. And he spent basically the rest of his career there studying mosses and teaching students. He traveled pretty widely, so all around the British Isles and also to abroad, collecting mosses. So he visited Portugal and Svalbard in 1954. Starting in 1958, he spent pretty much every summer in Sweden and Scandinavia collecting. He visited Zambia, Malawi, Uganda, and Tanzania in 1968, Turkey in 1971 and 72, and the Faroe Islands and Iceland in 1973. And he also led annual field courses to the Canary Islands with students. And there's a funny story in his obituary about one of his students sitting down on the edge of a volcanic crater and actually burning his pants, not realizing the soil was that hot. And you can see here, this is actually a map of specimens in the Bryophyte Portal that can reflect all of his travels, which is kind of neat to see. So he met the Swedish bryologist, Dr. Elsa Nyholm from the London University through the British Bryological Society, and she became probably basically his biggest collaborator. So we have a number of specimens like this one down here that you'll see both of their names on. And they basically, every summer, they would collect together in Sweden and other Scandinavian countries for over 20 years. He learned Swedish to speak it fluently, and he became an expert on Scandinavian mosses. He was active in the Nordic Bryological Society and became an honorary member of the Finnish Bryological Society. He wrote about 100 bryological papers and collaborated with at least 14 other bryologists, especially Elsa Nyholm. He did a lot of taxonomic work, and he said he liked to untangle tricky groups of mosses that didn't get as much attention. He did several holistic studies, so lists of mosses that were found in the countries that he visited, and extensively mapped the flora of the British Isles, adding 20 new species to the list, 6 of which he described as new to science. So there's 27 names and tropicos associated with Crundwell, and you can see a number of them were described in conjunction with Elsa Nyholm. He was active in the British Bryological Society. So from 1968 to 76, he was the recorder of mosses. So the person in charge of the official lists of mosses in the British Isles. He was the editor of their transactions from 66 to 67 and served as president from 1974 to 75 and was made an honorary member of the society in 1985. So he retired from the University of Glasgow in 1983 and moved back to England, so down to Headley Down, Hampshire, to be closer to his mother and his brother. But he didn't give up bryology, so when he passed away in 2000, he was actively working on a list of local bryophytes from North Hampshire. So in his will, he bequeathed his botanical books, periodicals, and pamphlets to the British Bryological Society, and his Bryophyte Herbarium of over 30,000 specimens to the Royal Botanic Gardens in Edinburgh. We have about a little over 3,400 specimens of his digitized so far in the Bryophyte Portal, just 21 in Lichen Portal, and I found a few in the SERNEC Vascular Portal. And yeah, so most of this information I got from his obituary in the Journal of Bryology, and it's a really great, there's a lot of really great personal stories from his friends and his family, some really great pictures of him collecting out in the field. So I will link that to y'all if anyone would like to take a closer look and learn a little bit more. So anyways, that is A.C. Crundwell, ACC, if you see his name. And I hope to talk a little bit more about his collaborator, Elsa Nyholm, the Swedish bryologist, in one of our upcoming meetings. So thank you for listening.